Hi, I'm Deborah Christensen, the owner of Soulscape Transformations. The reason I'm making this video today is I just thought I'd come on here and speak to those people who want to change their relationship with alcohol. For those of you who don't know, I work full time and have done for nearly 5 years now as an alcohol and other drug counsellor. And I just feel there's a real need for combating misinformation, myths, and so many people come to me who've struggled on their own for years, decades often, trying to moderate their alcohol intake, have a limited success, and because of shame and stigma and discrimination, they're scared to reach out for help. So this video I'm just going to share a little bit around tips for moderating alcohol, and if you like it and if it's helpful, I'm more than happy to share a lot more videos like this if you feel that it would be helpful. So just to start off with, just a little bit of general facts about alcohol, just really briefly. It is mainly a depressant on the central nervous system. So when people talk about a substance as being either a stimulant, a depressant, or a hallucinogen, those three categories, it's how they're talking about how it impacts mainly on our central nervous system. So alcohol is a strange beast because it can be all three. So usually with the first few drinks, we have that slightly euphoric effect, that slightly stimulant effect. And then after that, 80-90% of the alcohol is going to have a depressant or a slowing down effect on our central nervous system, mainly being our brain and spine where the nervous system runs down. A lot more complicated than that. We have our peripheral nervous system, our parasympathetic, our sympathetic nervous system. But just for today's video, I'm only going to be speaking about why it's a depressant on the central nervous system. So it slows all the messages down, which is why, after a few drinks, people are stumbling, having difficulty walking, finding their words, because all the messages are slowed down in the brain. So that's really important to know that it is a depressant. Basically, yes, it can make depression and anxiety worse longer term if you drink. Usually in the short term, people feel better for a few hours, but it's never lasting. So depression will come back, and over time, with continued use, the build-up effect of it is to slowly make depression and anxiety a lot worse. So that's one of the things. I wanted to just also mention really briefly a little bit around withdrawal. Alcohol is one of those things that, depending on how much you drink, it can be life-threatening to stop it cold turkey. The studies show between 6 and 15% of people, 6% of people, 15% of people can be at risk of having seizures that can be life-threatening if they stop alcohol suddenly. The really tricky part of it is that there's no hard and fast set amount of alcohol. You can say if you're a woman and if you drink this much, then you're at high risk of having a seizure. There is guidelines that here in Australia, our Queensland Health System, our detox unit go on. Usually anything over, a bottle and a half, bottle of wine, they usually refer to be detoxed in hospital. Or go to see a GP and get some Valium, get some medication to help support your nervous system. It's only short term. Valium, they only usually give it 5 days, sometimes 7 or 8 days. It's on a titrated level, higher on the first day and then lower every day. And it's not addictive if you only take it for that week and a half. The reason why it's really important to know this is that people have died from going cold turkey on higher levels. Things that can increase your risk of having a seizure by just stopping it suddenly. If you've got other chronic health conditions, if you've ever had seizures in the past, just because you've gone cold turkey and withdrawn on your own before with no medical assistance does not mean it could not happen to you. I would highly recommend that you seek at least a doctor's opinion, a GP's opinion, and let them know you're wanting to stop alcohol before you just jump off it. The GP is the best one to determine, or a detox unit or a proper drug and alcohol agency will have their nurses and doctors they can recommend that you get an assessment before you look at whether you're going to gradually withdraw or whether you're going to jump off it. Withdrawal symptoms, often they're things like sweats, insomnia, the shakes, headaches, nausea, agitation, a lot of emotional ups and downs, especially within the first week. Withdrawal symptoms will start within a few hours, often within 6 hours of the last drink. Sometimes when people are very heavy drinkers or drink daily, especially in the evenings, you'll find by 4 or 5 in the afternoon they're starting to get withdrawal symptoms, wanting the next drink, and that triggers cravings. So just be aware of that. So what I'm going to talk about today is not all around how to do that safely and a lot of the background information. It's for people who are wanting to try and moderate their alcohol intake. It's some tips around that and strategies. And if you're wanting to cut down your alcohol, I'm more than happy to make another video on the recommended strategies for doing that successfully. But for today, probably the number one thing I would say to start with when you're wanting to moderate your alcohol intake is start recording somewhere your intake. The whole point of this is to make conscious what's been a habit. It's really easy to not be really fully aware of exactly how much you're drinking, especially if you're mixing drinks, mixing them yourself, and you're a little bit hit and miss of when you drink or when you drink with others and on your own how much you're having. I would say a huge percentage of people that I see who initially write down what they're drinking, and then we actually go back and through it each day for the last week or two, and often it's a third at least and more. And it's really important to know exactly how much you're drinking when you're wanting to do a gradual reduction plan. So how do we calculate that? Well, here in Australia we have a standard drink system. I'm not sure how worldwide that is, but I think it is. Can only comment on Australia though, because that's where I am. So 10 grams of alcohol in a drink is one standard drink. So for us here in Australia, this is on average. Obviously different brands of wine and beers and ciders slightly different, but on average 100 ml of wine is one standard drink. Here in Australia we have it written on the bottle how many standard drinks a bottle. So if a 750 ml bottle can sometimes be 7.5 standard drinks in the bottle. But yes, usually on average you can work it out. The 100 ml of wine is one standard drink. For beer, depends if it's a light beer, a mid-strength beer, or a heavy beer. So light strengths are often 0.5 or half a standard drink. Middies are one standard drink normally, and heavies are anywhere from 1.5, sometimes 1.3, 1.5, 1.6, but you can take it around average 1.5. Ciders are normally one standard drink, or though the high 375 ml can I think is 1.3 standard drinks here in Australia. Spirits, 30 mils, one standard drink. So in Australia our tablespoons are 20 mils. So to give you an idea, a tablespoon and a half is one standard drink. Why is that important to know? When you're calculating your use, I recommend you calculate it in standard drinks. It's really important. The healthy guidelines, I'll just come in here and let you know them first. Healthy guidelines in Australia, 2020 healthy guidelines, are no more than 10 standard drinks a week and no more than 4 standard drinks in any one day, and 2 to 3 alcohol-free days a week. So how they develop them, they're looking at physical health harms mainly, and that if you want to avoid any of the 9 cancers that alcohol can cause, heart, brain issues, and all the inflammatory diseases, because alcohol is recognised as a poison by the body. It causes inflammation from the very first drink in your body. That's where the healthy guidelines come from. They can't say it's safe to drink. It's been classified as a number 1 carcinogenic, the same as smoking. So it has a very toxic effect on the body from the very first sip. So that's why they will never say there's any safe level of drinking, especially if you've had or have got chronic illness. The recommendation is no drinks at all. But yeah, it's really difficult in our society and culture, especially here in Australia. It's a huge part of culture. It's everywhere, and the alcohol industry has a huge sway in their advertising and everything. So it's okay for that percentage of people who can take it or leave it for alcohol. You know, there's like, I know, this is not exact, but say 10% of people can't stand the taste, they'll never drink it. 75% of people can take it or leave it, go days, they can moderate it. And then at the other end, you have people who can't stop drinking. You know, they'll drink everything that's there. And then so people tend to be at the other end of that 20% of the population that struggle with it. And for them, that's where it's difficult. But when you look at the healthy guidelines, they're based on the Health and Medical Research Centre of 2013, established, I think. They're the ones that back the scientific research in nutrition and speak about that here in Australia. That's where the guidelines came from. I think they worked out that for people who drink 10 standard drinks or less a week, 1 in 100 will die from an alcohol-related illness. So that's seen as healthy odds. So every standard drink above that you have per week, you increase your chances of having the physical cancers and other inflammatory illnesses that alcohol can cause if you're regularly drinking it, especially if you're not having alcohol-free days each week. Yeah, so that's just some of it. That's why it's important to know your standard drinks, because of how it fits in with the healthy guidelines. Now, if you're someone who's used to having 2 or 3 bottles of wine every night, which, on a 7.5 standard bottle, standard drinks, that's 15 to 32 standard drinks a night. And, that's... You might be happy to cut down to 1 bottle, and you go, if I get to 1 bottle a night, that's fine. It's whatever works for you. Definitely not the alcohol police. And I'm only sharing this because I know how many people come struggling to cut down, and just really it's wrong that they're not having access to information that, within 1 to 3 months they can completely turn around their relationship with alcohol and the way they drink, and the benefits they get from that are enormous. So that's partly why I'm sharing this too. Okay, so one of the first things, record your use. Start doing it straight away. There's some free apps that are great to do it if you like phone apps. One is called Daybreak, another one is called Sober Tool. Awesome, excellent. You can use a good old-fashioned calendar so you can see at a glance. And I just say it's as simple as just writing a number in the top right-hand corner if you're not using the phone app, or in a diary on a piece of paper, just recording it. Whether it's 12 standard drinks or 6 or whatever it is, just start putting a little number. No one else needs to know what it means but you. But just start doing it, making it really conscious. The second thing is to pick a maximum amount of alcohol and don't go over that per day. be conscious about choosing a maximum amount. Doesn't mean you've got to drink up to the maximum, just means that for that day you might go, okay, at the moment I've been all over the place. Sometimes a bottle of wine, sometimes nothing, sometimes 2.5 bottles, sometimes beers. You might go, okay, I'm not going to have more than a bottle and a half, or half a bottle, or a 2-pack, or nothing between Monday and Thursday, whatever you're going to do. But whatever the maximum you pick, you don't go over that. You go under it or up to it. That way, you're setting a conscious limit for yourself before you even get to start drinking. Another little tip is to eat. A lot of people don't drink as much once they've eaten. The rationale behind that as well is if you've got food in your stomach, most of the alcohol, a little bit's absorbed in your mouth down here, but most it's in the stomach and the bowel. So if you've got food in there, there's less surface area for the alcohol to absorb through, and so you're absorbing less alcohol. So you're getting less harms from each drink that you're having if you've got food in your stomach. So that will help you for people who want to slow it down. Sometimes I say to people, if you really would like to not be drinking as much or not during the week, either whether you have dinner a bit earlier or and just so that's around the eating. The other tip is to drink a non-alcoholic drink or water in between each alcohol drink. Partly that's to hydrate, but it's also to slow down, fill you up, and hopefully not have quite as much alcohol. From the very first drink, your body, don't know that all, I can't explain all the complex science, but your body switches off its peeing. So basically you just pee because your body's trying to get rid of it. Normally, you'll only pee when your bladder gets to so full. But once you start drinking alcohol, the body's alarms are going off. It wants to get rid of it, so you don't have that mechanism isn't there, and so people pee more, and that's partly why they get dehydrated and get hangovers. So the more you can hydrate with non-alcoholic water, fruit juice, whatever you're going to mix, if you're healthy or whatever it is, healthy non-alcoholic or non-healthy soft drink, it doesn't matter. If you're having that in between, it's going to slow you down with your alcohol. For people who start drinking earlier, or say on the weekends or during the week, and they want to push their drinking back later in the day, and because they've started earlier, I would say pick a couple of days. If you're drinking earlier each day, pick a couple of days in the week, and this is again where you're recording your use can be helpful, because you can make a little mark, whether it's a circle around them or write it down, the head of the start of that week, Sunday, Wednesday or whatever, and pick those 2 days and say, okay, on those 2 days for the next week or the next 2 weeks, I'm going to push back starting drinking. So say you start drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning normally, you might go, I'm not going to start till 11 o'clock. If you feel anxiety in your body when you think about that, push it back to 10:30. When you think about how long it's taken you to get where you are with alcohol, if it takes you 1 to 3 months to step at least 50% better, that's still great. People tend to do it too quick, too fast, and then they can't maintain it. So by just picking a couple of days to enact the first small changes, then if you do those 2 days, but you also then choose to do it every other day, you've overachieved. But if you've only done the 2 days and you've drank as per normal the other days, you've still hit your goal. So it's just a little psychological boost that nobody likes to start anything and fail and feel like they've failed and haven't done it. Say if you pick and make a whole goal and you want to do it every day, and in 2 weeks time you look back, in 10 days you did it perfect, in 2 days you didn't, Most people are focusing on those 2 days. I could have done the whole 2 weeks. I stuffed up this and that. Everything's there and they feel deflated and their confidence is down. Whereas if you just pick a couple of days a week to do the changes and you choose to do more, you fit your confidence way better. Because then when you're thinking about it, you think, oh, I only picked 2 days, but I actually did each week, and 2 weeks ago, and I actually did 8 days out of the 2 weeks. So can you see how it makes a difference? So yeah, not to do shouts if you're out drinking. It can be really hard. Main reason is not that you don't want to be sociable. People are buying your drinks and putting them in. It's so easy to lose track, and it's easier to mix drinks, and that's one of the other suggestions when you're trying to get some control or moderate your drinking. We really recommend don't mix your drinks, mainly because it's harder to keep track of them. So just pick one and stick with that while you're trying to get things under control, and don't engage in the shouts. I don't know if other people in other cultures do that, but you probably do. I haven't lived as an adult overseas, so I don't know, but I'd imagine everyone does. But shouts when you go out by rounds, people call them rounds. So yeah, while you're trying to keep on top of it, that's a recommendation. Obviously, if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, that's fine. It's up to you. It's just a recommendation. What have we gone? What else is there? Stick to one type of alcohol. You could choose a lower alcohol drink in your drink of choice. So if you normally have a heavy beer, you could switch to middies or lights. That's an automatic way of reducing the alcohol intake. The only thing you've got to be cautious of here, for a small percentage of people, for the majority of people it works. For a small percentage of people, their brain goes, oh, you can have twice as much. Sometimes you don't know till you try. It's all about self-awareness. Yeah, so that's one way you can automatically start cutting back, by going to a lower alcohol content wine or beer or cider or whatever. So I hope that's been helpful. Recording your use. Daybreak or Sober Tool, great apps, or calendar. Record standard drinks, 100 mils of wine normally. Light beer is usually half a standard drink. Middies 1, heavies 1.5 of beer. 30 mils of spirits, a standard drink. Cider, it's usually 1 standard drink, or 1.3 for the 375 ml can. Healthy guidelines: no more than 10 standard drinks a week, no more than 4 standard drinks in any one day, and 2 or 3 alcohol days a week. That gives your body a bit of a rest from the inflammatory effect from your liver to having to work really hard to get rid of it. Record your use. Drink water. Keep hydrated. Preferably 1 in between each alcoholic. Slow down. Might not have said that one before. Slow down. So don't just guzzle them. Slow it down. Guzzling's often because you're either dehydrated or you're stressed and you're really using alcohol to get that de-stress, and you're wanting to have the intoxicating effect quick. But just be aware of that, and that's another conversation. I'm happy to talk about that another time, but try and slow it down if you're wanting to reduce how much you're having each night. Slow down and enjoy it. If you're going to drink, enjoy it. When I have a drink, I slow it right down, try and enjoy it. Don't mix drinks. Try and pick a lower alcohol one. Try and eat while you're drinking. That'll slow you down. Pick a maximum. Consciously choose a maximum before you go out. I'm not going to have more than a bottle tonight. Especially if you've looked at your calendar and you haven't, whatever it works for you. Hope that's been helpful. If you like some of these tips, if you found any of them helpful, you think you might give them a try, I'd love to know. There's so much more I could share with you. If you would like to know, if you'd like me to share any more, especially around reducing and how to safely reduce and plans on doing that, or anything else actually, like knowing triggers, understanding cravings, the tolerance, things to be aware of with tricky thinking. Yeah, a lot around pros and cons of alcohol use and really knowing your why and why you're drinking and your patterns of use. That's actually really important to maintain a change when you drink, when you've been having a substance for a long time that you feel keeps starting to control you and you're not controlling it. But I could talk for a long time on that and unpack that if you would like me to. So yeah, what action point, I'd love to know what action point, or if you're going to put anything in place this week to start doing that you think might be helpful. I'd love for you to share that. Yeah, and like and share this if you feel it would be helpful. Let me know if you want me to make any more videos on this. Okay, take care.